Hello, fabulous Leo. Welcome to your horoscope for the year of 2015 Love Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. What an important year it is for you in the context of love. And I actually spoke about this or touched on it in the general focused horoscope for your sign. But it really is such an important year for you in love. And that is mainly thanks to the fact that Venus will be in your sign for an extended stay. So normally we have Venus in a given sign for a period of 3 to 4 weeks. But what we have happening this year for you is that Venus is going to be hanging out in your sign pretty much throughout the whole summer and into the early part of the fall as well. Now that is very rare to have Venus hanging out in the same part of the sky. You add to this the fact that the goddess of love, Venus, is going to be hanging out in your sky, but she's also going to be doing her dance, her retro dance, as I like to call it, which means that she will, in the month of June, enter what's called shadow. Now, regular friends and fans know that I really am big on talking about the shadow. We talk a lot culturally, those of us who even have a little bit of knowledge about astrology, we talk about the Mercury retrograde a lot, right? We talk about retrograde planets, but particularly we're familiar with Mercury retrograde. Venus is going to be going retrograde now. And it can seem as this very ominous word, but really it's not just, I gotta break it to you, it isn't just about what happens during the retrograde cycle, but the pathway leading up to it and after the retrograde are just as important, because it is once a planet enters shadow that it begins to walk the pathway that it will retrace once that planet goes retrograde. So really think about it as if you were walking down a street, you came to the beginning of a block, and you knew that once you got to the end of this block, you would have to walk backwards the same space, and then you would have to stop and go forward again. So that's essentially what happens when a planet enters shadow, goes retrograde, goes backwards, and then goes direct again. So it's that entire chunk of time, because it is that pathway that is the lesson. It is the journey, it's not the destination. So it is actually the learning and the lessons that come up with you once Venus enters shadow that will be fine-tuned once Venus goes retrograde. And given that it's in your sign, it becomes that much more important. So late June, Venus enters shadow. Late July, throughout August, Venus is retrograde. In September, Venus goes direct and stays in shadow into the early part of October. So Venus is going to be hanging out in your sign for an extended period of time. Yes, while she's doing her retrograde dance, she will dip a little toe into the sign of Virgo, but I really don't think you're going to feel it in any way, this change of her sign, because it is so brief, and really the bulk of the most important things to take place with Venus are going to be happening with your sign. So what does this mean? Well, just like it sounds, you're going to be going back, whether it's in the context of a current relationship or in the context of you returning to a past relationship, or in the context of you meeting somebody new and then having to backtrack. That is the type of thing that we are likely to see for you over the course of these key months that I gave you. Now, all of us in some way are going to be feeling this and having these romantic conversations and things coming up. But for you, it is especially significant because all of this is happening in your sign. So those of you in an established bond, I do think that this is going to be a time when you're figuring out, do you really love this person? What is it that holds you to this person? And figuring out how it is that ultimately you came to be with this person. And really importantly, I do think, is getting a clear understanding as to why you are with this person. And where it is that the answers please you, that soul searching, that deeper understanding works for you, the bond will be made that much stronger. But where it is that you realize you're with this person for reasons that no longer resonate with you, it is going to be once Venus goes direct that you realize that you're ready to bring things to a close. So that is going to be really dependent on your individual journey. As I said, Do I love it? Do I love this person? I spoke about this a little bit in the general focused horoscope. Do I love this person? If you do genuinely love them, that bond will be made that much stronger. Where it is that you really don't, you're going to admit that to yourself and feel that changes must arise as a result. Where it is that you're in a situation that really is something that is not affirming your self-worth, in fact, makes you feel not good about yourself, this is going to be you being honest about that and helping to evolve your sense of self-worth so that you can make changes that maybe on some level might be long overdue for a few of your sign out there. Those of you dating somebody, again, do I love this person? I do think that when Venus retrogrades, whether you're dating somebody and especially if you're single and you meet somebody new at the Venus retrograde, this really is you realizing, okay, if you're dating somebody, this is you coming to a realization that there are a lot of things you don't know about this person. And that isn't necessarily a bad thing. But this can also be you realizing that what you thought you wanted, maybe you don't. Like maybe you're dating somebody and they're really awesome and it's heading in a direction of commitment and marriage and you realize, I don't really want that. Or it's headed in a direction where you're with somebody and it's really awesome and you always thought you wanted to be single and you realize, no, I really want to be with this person. I want to marry this person. So those are the types of reconsiderations that are going to come up. If you are single, if you meet somebody new, just know that you are not getting the complete picture and you're going to need a little bit of time to work things out. It's not uncommon to attract new people under Venus retrograde because all of us are in some way wanting love and thinking about love and what we need to do to bring it closer, trying different things to bring it closer. And it is not uncommon during this time to actually attract a relationship that's very passionate. In the immediacy ends up being very passionate. So just know that if you meet somebody, just pan it out, space it out. It doesn't mean that it won't be something amazing. It doesn't mean that it can't be something long term, but just know, and it doesn't mean also that the person is intentionally not being honest with you. In fact, you might be the person who decides not to be completely forthright with this other person as well. But just know that regardless, it does take time for people to really get to know each other, and it might feel like you really know this person. And this is it, a dream come true, and everything feels so idyllic and perfect. And it may very well be, but just know that there are other layers that may need to be revealed as well. And so allow things to pace themselves in that regard. In particular, before we even get there, I gotta say that in the first 2 months of the year, so very early in the new year, we are going to have Mercury actually going either in shadow or retrograde in your opposite sign, which is going to have you sort of rethinking the idea of love and relationship and partnership as it is. And then once we get you into the summer and into the fall, it's going to be you actually living it, experiencing it. It won't be so much of an intellectual pursuit, talking things out. It's going to be about you actually living it and experiencing it and getting in touch with a deeper emotion behind what is taking place for you in love. In addition to all this, if this wasn't enough, what we also have happening is Saturn moving into a part of the sky for you that has to do with love and romance. So there's going to be lots of options and opportunities there, lots of learning there. And I spoke about that at length in the Saturn special for your sign. So you are going to want to have a look at that to help you get a more complete picture of what's coming up, not only this year, but for the better part of the next 3 years as well. One thing I did want to share, and I'm sharing this for a few signs out there, but I did want to share this for your sign in particular, given again that Venus is moving backwards in your sign. Traditionally, classically speaking, Venus retrograde is not the best time to get married. Okay, so if you are a person who is thinking and you start feeling, especially once we get you into March, and the Mercury retrograde and the shadow are over in your opposite sign, and you go, wow, I really love this person, I want to be with this person, that's awesome. But just know that if you can help it, now if everything's already paid for and you're like, Nadiya, there's no way I'm canceling this thing now, this is 10 years coming, or something like that, which is the case sometimes, then of course, you know, do what resonates as right for you. It is always your choice. But really, astrologically speaking, you want to have a strong Venus, and a strong moon for that matter, but a strong Venus when you get married, when you exchange vows. And Mercury retrograde, not always the best time, really not the best time to get married. I know people like summer weddings a lot. Unless you are marrying the same person for the second time, which I know people who've actually done that. Actually, I know a few people who've actually done that. Unless it's that type of thing, or you realize that something about what was happening before in the marriage, whether it's the marriage contract or the marriage certificate or the marriage ceremony, really wasn't as you would like it to be now, then this can be a good time to do that over again. However, for the most part, not the best time to get married. You want a strong Venus. You want Venus direct. You want Venus out of shadow. You want Venus growing in strength and power in order, as a symbol really, for the growing love that you hope to feel in the bonds of this marriage as well. One thing that I really like about this sky though is that you are really thinking about love, what love is going to mean for you, how love is going to matter to you. And with that deeper understanding and with all the learning you're going to be doing this year, you just can't help but know yourself better. And especially once you know yourself better, you come to know better about what it is that you love and why, who it is that you're with and why. You are going to find yourself moving in a direction of greater awareness and greater clarity as to exactly what you're going for in love. And from that space, you can't help but experience more of it. Now, before I let you go, I was going to just stop right there. However, I just touched on it a little bit. Venus going retrograde in your sign. I mean, that is also very classic for lovers from the past coming back and giving it another try. And if that should be the case, that's going to be you either realizing, okay, I get why we didn't work out in the first place, or there may actually be a reconnection that ends up being really stable and strong and secure. But keep in mind, there's going to be lots of learning in love. It isn't just about this year. However, the Venus retrograde, Venus in your sign, if you are one of those people who's thought a lot about somebody from the past, this could be the time when they actually re-emerge, actually present themselves again, show up again in your life, and you get to have a deeper understanding of what was and what is now, who you are now, and where it is that you believe this connection is going or is not going. So overall, big lessons and big learning in love. Your sign is certainly one of the lucky ones to be going through some very powerful love lessons. And with all that learning, why do we go through all that learning? So that we can be better, and so that we can move our lives in a direction that we like very much. And that is certainly the case for you this year.